Hello, friends. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Satish Prabhu from Franklin Templeton. Mr. Satish Prabhu, welcome. Let me give a brief introduction about yourself to my team. Mr. Satish Prabhu is the Vice President and Head of Content at Franklin Templeton Asset Management Company, and he's been there for the last 9 years. Prior to that, he worked for 8 years with Crisil Limited and over 7 years with Stock Holding Corporation of India Limited. So totally he has got more than 24 years of experience in the same financial background. And by education, he is an engineer and MBA graduate. And let me give you some interesting stats about him. He is an avid blogger and has written nearly 400 blogs on the basics of investing under the title Money Ki Baat. And he is greatly inspired by the book Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and feels that investors can create wealth not by investing more money, but by improving their behavior with money. And his stories gives the message of patience, perseverance, resilience, and everything, the key behavioral traits which has to be imbibed by the investors. And you can read all his blogs on his LinkedIn page. And he also speaks at various investor education forums, conducts knowledge sharing sessions, webinars, podcasts for investors, distributors, advisors, relationship managers, corporates, and of course the general public also. So, without much ado, let me invite Mr. Satish Prabhu on the show. Mr. Satish Prabhu, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that gracious introduction. And so the topic today is tips to begin your journey of wealth creation. Now, some of it was covered, in the introduction, but it's important to get into the details. So, let me set the context. Today, if you look at the net worth of, of the richest individuals, you come to know that the wealthiest person has a net worth of about $207 billion. Now, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay, there's some background noise. So, the net worth of the world's wealthiest person is $207 billion US dollars. Now, obviously, a lot of this wealth has been created through equity. But why am I showing this slide is that it is not just creation of wealth. It is also how you maintain that wealth. Because now you see on your screen a list of individuals who had a lot of wealth, but who could not maintain that wealth. So you had a famous boxer, and I'm sure you can guess those names. There was a famous boxer who made almost $700 million, but today he's worth about $3 million. There's a famous American actress who earned about $28 million, but today she's worth about $800,000. A very famous tennis star made over $50 million, and I can say he's a Grand Slam winner, and today he's fighting bankruptcy.
Yeah, what is Becca?
The message here is that it's not just enough to create wealth, it's also important to maintain that wealth. Now, another reason why I'm showing this to you is that why it is important to maintain that wealth, one, and to even create that wealth in the first place. It's a young audience that I'm talking to, and
Correct.
It's a world where spending is overrated perhaps, and investing is underrated. But it is important that we invest and create that wealth for us, because I've seen several examples in the last 3 years, especially during COVID, when people lost their jobs and they had huge EMIs on their to pay, and they didn't have the money. So those who had created wealth through their investments were able to dip into those investments and, save themselves from that COVID onslaught. And I'm sure that some of you would have similar stories.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of pressure on employment. So this is the context that I would like to say in terms of why wealth is important and why we should, maintain that wealth and why we should keep investing and have that kitty with us. The only people who perhaps need not worry about this are perhaps the royals, because they have perhaps, a longer rope, if I can call it that way, and need not worry about who takes care of them. So it's largely the exchequer, and they have enough wealth to take care of themselves. So coming to, how do we do all this? So while saying is very easy, we should also know there is a method to the madness. So what is the method to the madness? First and
do you agree, sir, that Indians are very good savers, but unfortunately they are not great investors?
Great investors.
So you have come to the right point, sir. Yeah,
Right.
please explain on this.
India is among the topmost nations who saves. But how much of that wealth is actually invested in the right asset classes is what matters in the long run. So if you want to really create wealth, then, you should hear this presentation. So saving versus investing. So all of us save, but do we actually invest is the question. So what's wrong with just saving? So inflation eats up your saving over time. And how does it do that? So you see, inflation, what is inflation? Inflation is just the cost, the rise in cost of the daily stuff that we use. You can see bread, milk, petrol, and education. And look at any of them, there is a cost hike that happens. And we need to maintain that purchasing power, as we call it. That if I was able to buy X amount, say 5 years ago, today also I should be able to buy either X amount or a little bit more than that. If I have not saved enough or invested enough, then I may not be able to buy that same stuff. So inflation eats into the money. So it's very important to not just save, but to invest. And in simple terms, when I say investment, it is basically where your returns are over and above inflation. So if inflation is 5% today, your investments must earn more than 5%. That's the
of course
way you can.
Yeah, and also it has to be a positive real rate of return plus tax-free return also, which both the give.
Absolutely. So it's very important to keep pace, as you can call it, with inflation. So, but how do we progress from saving to investing? So the first formula is that whether we should look at spend first and save later, or should we save first and spend later? And this is a dilemma which is very common with the younger lot as to what should I do? And typically most people would do exactly the opposite. They may spend first, and whatever is left at the end of the month, they may park in some investment instrument. But if you really want to do well with your investing, and the first, and I would say first principle, is that you must basically save first and then spend later. So you must. So I would say the formula that I use is that anything that I want to save goes from my salary on the day of my salary. So if I want to save, say 20% of my salary, then 20% of that money should get deducted from my salary on the day the salary comes. Because I don't know what expenses I would have over the month. I know the normal expenses, but if there are something more than that I may not be able to invest every month. So saving first and spending later is the first principle of creating long-term wealth. Now, what are the other principles? What are the other basics of investing that people should know? And these are very basic. So once you know this, then you realize that whether I am following this or I'm not following this. So if you're following this, then you're on the right path. So let's look at the first one, is how long you invest. And this is more to do with compound interest. And Albert Einstein has put it extremely well. He says that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. And I'm sure that Albert Einstein, being a scientist and speaking about investing, I'm sure he has some great experiences about compounding that he has seen during his lifespan, and that's why he has put it so beautiful. So let's look at how compounding works. And don't worry about the numbers. Let me explain to you how these numbers are put up. So if you had a SIP, so SIP is a monthly investment in a mutual fund, and you can invest a fixed amount, maybe 5,000, 10,000, whatever the amount is in a mutual fund. And if I'm investing, say, 10,000 rupees a month in an SIP, and I do that for 5 years, I'm investing 6 lakhs. So the first column says 5 years, 6 lakhs. I'm investing 6 lakhs. Now, if that SIP was giving me 8% returns, I would have had 7.4 lakhs in my corpus. If the SIP gave me 10% returns, I would have 7.8 lakhs. Similarly, if it was 12%, it gave me 8.2 lakhs. Now, let's look at 10 years, and I have 12 lakhs invested, and the same numbers are 18 lakhs, 20 lakhs, and 23 lakhs. But what am I trying to tell you about compounding is that in the first 10 years, you made 18 lakhs as the corpus at 8%, you made 23 lakhs as corpus at 12%. So let us look at, say, 12%. Now, if you made 23 lakhs in the first 10 years, obviously in the next 10 years, normal calculation will tell you I should make another 23 lakhs. So my corpus should become 46 lakhs because I am investing 12 lakhs every 10 years. Okay. So if you look at 20th year, you have invested 24 lakhs. From 12 lakhs, it becomes 24 lakhs. So you have invested the same money. So the returns ideally should be the same. You should get 23 lakhs and your new corpus should be 46 lakhs. But look at the corpus at the end of 20 years. It is a clear 100 lakhs, which is almost a crore if it was 12%. Now, how much have you added? You have added 75 lakhs in the next 10 years. You have added 23 lakhs in the first 10 years, but you have added 75 lakhs in the next 10 years. That is exactly what compounding is. The longer you invest, the bigger the corpus gets. Why does it happen that way? Because you keep earning more returns on whatever you have removed from that account. So the longer you invest, the better it is. So that is the biggest, I would say, the most fundamental way of creating wealth through the power of compounding. So the longer you stay, and obviously we'll come to that later, that staying longer is not easy because it needs a lot of patience, and very few have that patience. We are living in a world of instant gratification. So finding that patience is very difficult. But if you're genuinely concerned about wealth creation and genuinely focused on wealth creation, please do follow the power of compound. Don't worry about the amount that you invest. 10,000 is just a number. You may start with even 5,000 or even lesser than that. But staying invested for those 10, 20 years is very important to generate these type of numbers. So that's the power of compounding. And when you invest is also important. So when I say when you invest, many people think that I'm very young, I'm just 25. What's the need to invest so early? But remember what Albert Einstein said. So I'll go back to that slide. He says that he who understands it earns it. He who doesn't, he pays it. So how does he pay it? It's like a penalty, you know. How does he pay it? So similar table again. If you start at 25 years and you need a corpus of 5 crore by the time, say, you're 60, it could be any age, but say by the time you're 60, you need 5 crore. You need to invest 21,000 rupees, 21,653 at 8%. And at the age of 25, so you have a whole 35 years to invest that 21,000. And at the end of that, at 8%, you will make 5 crores. Similarly, if you get better returns, if you get 10% returns, then obviously you don't need 21. You need, say, 13,000 rupees. And if you earn 12% returns, you just need about 7,500. So investing 7,500 rupees at 12% can give you 5 crore at the age of 60 in 35 years. to a mutual fund SIP. Now, where is the penalty? Some people will say that, oh, 25 is too early. I need to enjoy my life. I need to buy a car. I need to, uh, travel. I need to visit. I need to have some nice vacations. Okay.
And here I also wanted to make a point. There is a added pressure from the parents also to buy a home loan, even without they get into that, so that their opportunity to invest gets delayed, actually.
Yes. I agree. So investing for longer periods is very, very important, as was just pointed out. That what is this cost of delay? What happens if you delay it by just 5 years? 5 years, is nothing. But you need to invest, instead of 21,000, you need to invest 33,000, straight 12,000 extra.
Yeah.
If you look at 8% return, if you look at 10% returns, you need to invest 21,000. And if you get 12% returns, your money straight away, you need double the money. So from 7,600, you need 14,000 rupees to gather that corpus of 5 crore. And if you look at that last column, you realize that for every 5 years, that amount is almost doubling. So from 14,000 becoming 26,000. So that's that is the amount.
Our economy is also a growing economy, so it makes sense to invest more. To actually capture the GDP growth also.
Yes. And
unlike older economies like Japan or some part of Europe.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. So again, when you look at that amount of whether it's 7,600 or 13,000 or 21,000, they may sound, small or, little bit here and there. But the whole idea is that the more you delay, the bigger the amount gets. So you should not delay it, and you should start your investing as early as possible. So don't think about it that I'm just 25, why should I invest? And I'm not saying you look at 21,000 or you look at 30,000. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that start with some amount. It may be just 5,000 rupees, but it's very important to park that money when you start earning. So that's the basic principle. So the cost of delay is another important pillar of why you should start creating your wealth at the earliest. And obviously, neither should you delay or should you discontinue. So anything discontinued also impacts the power of compound. So, and the third part is, where do you invest? So obviously, the common thing that comes to our mind is we should invest in traditional investments, and all of us are used to fixed rate of return, assured rate of return. But I told you in the first instance that it's very important to know whether your investment is beating inflation or not. If it is not beating inflation, then obviously you need to look at other avenues. So it's similar to this thali. When you look at this thali, you'll realize that it contains vitamins, it contains proteins, it contains fiber, carbohydrates, and all the stuff that you typically need. Okay. But when you invest also, we don't think about it in this manner, that my investment should also be like this thali. It should be well rounded and it should contain all the important ingredients. So you may invest in, stocks or equities, you may invest in bonds or fixed income, real estate, gold, and, international investments. But it's very important that you are well diversified in whatever you invest, like this thali. So when you invest, remember that, is my investment looking like a thali? And obviously, you will have your investment advisor guide you in terms of what should be the proportion.
Right, asset allocation based on it.
Yeah. A nutritionist tells you that how much protein you should have, or how much carbohydrates you should have, or how much fat you should have. Similarly, your investment advisor will tell you how much of equity you should have. And obviously, equity is for the long term, fixed income is for the short term, and all of that. So it's very important to follow asset allocation. Here is another table. Why, don't get intimidated by the numbers. But why am I telling you it should be diversified? Because no single asset class can give you the best returns year on year. So if you look at it, in some years, equity has given you the best returns. In some years, gold has given you the best returns. But in some years, in March 13, you will find that none of the asset classes were even able to beat inflation. CPI is inflation.
Where inflation is the best return.
Inflation was understanding, but none of the asset classes were able to beat inflation.
Yeah, what it was.
Similarly, if you follow an asset class, you say that, okay, March 12, gold did extremely well, 33%. I put all my money in gold. Look at what happened to gold in March 13. It gave you the worst returns. It is right at the bottom. Okay. And if you look at, say, equity, if you look at equity in, say, March 15, gave you 28% returns. You put all your money in equity. Oh, equity is giving fantastic returns. Let me remove everything, put all my money in equity. Look at March 16. You'll find that in that whole year, equity has done very badly.
Nothing.
Yeah. So the reason I'm telling you this is that it is very important to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Put your money across asset classes like the third. Okay. So,
yeah, and this non-linearity is what the investors don't understand.
yes.
Equity is a non-linear asset.
Yeah. So we'll come to that. And this, while I have now explained to you the methodology of the whole thing, now I'll come to the crux of the whole thing as to why all of us are not doing that. Even I may have made the same mistakes. Mr. Venkataramana would have made the same mistakes, and some other senior investors would have made the same mistakes. But out of experience, we can tell you, while you follow that methodology, what is stopping all of us from creating that wealth? And it is nothing but our psychology. So investing is not the study of finance. Investing is the study of how people behave with their money. So behaving properly with money is very important. And there are two important emotions that we need to control. The first emotion is greed, and the second emotion is fear. Whenever we see this graph, this is how the markets behave, and that is what Sir was saying, that the equity asset class is not linear. It doesn't give you a short return. The returns are fluctuating. Sometimes they are up, sometimes they are down. But in the long run, they will give you reasonably good outcomes. And if we follow greed and fear, this is how we will behave. We won't behave in a normal way. If we behave in this way, we will not create wealth. It is important for us to behave in a very rational way. We should continue with our investment irrespective of how the markets behave. So this is typically how the BSE Sensex has behaved since 1986. So over the last 40 years, this is how the markets have behaved. And they've been extremely volatile, sometimes flat, sometimes, going up. But if you look at the direction, the direction is always upwards. So like they say in Hindi that इंसान हो या market, एक दिन सबको ऊपर ही जाना. So and whatever you look at, the markets will go up. That is the direction the market has taken over the last 40 years. So it is very important for us to control those emotions, and this is how investors typically behave. You'll find that the bars on the right is where you get very high investments. Why do you get very high investments? Because the markets are going up.
Past performance.
The bars on the left are very small, because investors do not put their money when there is fear in the market. When the markets are low, nobody puts their money. But if you would have put that money there, your money would have grown as it moves up. So it's very important to capture the market when they are down. And if we have fear, what do we fear? We fear that our money is gone. But I just showed you that your money will be volatile. It will fluctuate. Your returns will come down. But over the long run, the markets have always, gone up. They will take time, but the direction is, by history, is proven that it has gone up. So if we can control our two emotions of greed and fear, I'm sure that you can achieve your wealth creation goals. So here I've got a chart which talks about, markets, negative markets, whenever the markets were negative. But look at how the markets have behaved 1, 3, and 5 and those investments. Phenomenal returns. And these are actuals. I mean, I've not manufactured these numbers.
Correct.
These are actuals. And so many crises that the markets have gone through. You can see one return is minus 60% in 2008. That was when the global financial crisis came in. After that. So in each of these situations where there is fear, there is an opportunity. So look at volatile situations as an opportunity and allow your money to grow. So it's very important that you stay invested. And here's Mr. Jeff Bezos asking Warren Buffett that your investment strategy is so simple. Why doesn't everyone copy you? And like I said, if it was so simple, then all of us would have been, wealthy. So the reason is that nobody wants to get rich slow, because it is patience, right? And it takes time. So this graph tells you that if you miss a few days in the market because you were fearful and you said that if my money is going down, I will not invest, the chances are that your returns will also come down. So if you miss just 5 days this is a 25-year period. If you just miss 5 days, your returns will fall from 11.81, almost 12% to 10%.
And once again, reiterating why time in the market is more important than timing the market.
Absolutely. So your corpus will grow, 1 lakh will grow to 16 lakhs in 25 years. But if you miss just 5 days, the best days, it will not grow to 16 lakhs, but it will grow to just 10 lakhs. So you lose 6 lakhs by just not investing for 5 of those days over a 25-year period. If you miss 10 days, then your returns drop to 8%. And the money you get
even exiting, entering also selling taxes.
Yes, this is exactly that. This is when you do entry, exit, because you are following the greed and fear cycle. The moment you realize that, I'm following the greed and fear cycle, you can be rest assured that you are not going to create. The moment you remove that greed and fear cycle from your mind is when you will create wealth. And that's what Warren Buffett is saying, that nobody wants to get rich slow. It is a very boring game. And that is how the markets are telling us, that we just need to stay invested. And these are the milestones, but sometimes they have been achieved in a short span of time, and sometimes they have taken longer. But they have come.
Yes.
Now, if you ask me that the Sensex has touched 63,000 in December 22, when will it touch 70,000? None of us know. But will it touch 70,000 at some point?
Definitely, yes.
I'm sure the answer is yes. So we don't know when, but we know that it will touch at some point of time. So patience is the game if you really want to create wealth, and you can see that wealth has been created. These are facts. Wealth has been created. But how long it takes is an answer that nobody knows. So patience is the key. And this is my final slide where I'm just showing you this compass, but something missing in this compass. Obviously, the needle, the needle to show the direction is missing. And what is that direction? It is the advisor. If you have a financial advisor today, you get that direction. And think about this, that they do the hand holding for you when the markets are lying low. They tell you that don't withdraw, stay invested. Greed and fear, don't worry. So that's very important to have an investment advisor. And these are the 5 key takeaways. Start early, diversify, invest regularly, remember the power of compounding, and stay invested. So
Perfect.
that's all that I had for today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was very nice listening to your detailed and very crisp information decoded in a pictorial way. And just I have some couple of questions which I thought of checking with you. I have many of my investors who are in the early working age or in the late teen age. So, what type of tips would you like to provide to them so that they will imbibe these qualities? Because they are about to complete their education or they are getting into the job market.
So, firstly, there is at that age, there is a lot of pressure from parents where to invest. Okay. So, by there is, you may not be able to avoid what they say. And like I said, it's a thali, right? So, there is no harm in investing where they tell you. But if you can put some money, even if it's 5,000 rupees of your money in a SIP, in an equity mutual fund SIP, and let it stay there for as long as you can, it will be really very good. The second important aspect is that put that money on the day of your salary. Let it be an auto debit. Let it be an auto debit from your account on the day of the salary. The moment the salary hits your bank, that 5,000 or 10,000 rupees should go to your mutual fund investment. And think about it that, I've spent that money. When you spend that money, you know that you're not going to get it back. Just think about it that way. And the longer you do that, month on month, is where you will actually see. And let me tell you that the real wealth creation happens if you stay for, say, beyond 7 to 10 years. That's when the real compounding happens. If you see it over 5 years, you will not see the actual wealth growing. But I just showed you one of the tables that the compounding starts happening after 10 years. So wait, give it time. That's why I said, forget about it that you've invested and let there be an auto debit. Do not get into withdrawing and discontinuing and all of that. Believe that the markets, will do their job and stay invested. So that's the big message that I would say. And if you can increase that amount, nothing like.
Yeah,
I think that's small, but give it a start.
Yeah, and most of my investors follow the mantra of SIP now and SWP later, because SWP is a very great thing where once you withdraw only 6% from the corpus, in spite of the withdrawal, the corpus grows. And your thoughts on that?
So obviously, mutual funds offer both accumulation. SIP is very popular. People talk about accumulation, but mutual funds also offer decumulation. So they offer systematic withdrawal plans as a very smooth withdrawal option if somebody needs regular income. So, but for that, you need to create a large enough corpus. And perhaps it is more tax efficient when you want to withdraw that money over, say, your retirement or any other requirement. But it is a tax efficient way to withdraw and have regular income after you create that large corpus. So SIP and SWP perhaps are the two pillars for one pillar is for your working life, and the second pillar is perhaps for your retired life. And to remember, because of advancement in medical science, if you're working for 35 years, you may live a retired life for another 35 years. If you retire,
even more than that,
and if your lifespan is 90 plus, it's a 35 year period when you have no earnings. So for which you need a very large corpus, which can beat inflation again. So it's very important to create these two pillars, and that can happen only if you start early.
Perfect. And my final word of advice to my investors before we wind up the session.
So the final word is, I could say, just do it. Don't don't get so, don't get into over analyzing the whole thing. It's simple, it's boring, but so be it. So if you keep it simple and boring is the only way you can create wealth. The moment you get into analyzing external, internal balance sheets, companies, portfolios, all of that, the more complex you make, the more you will be worried about your portfolios. So keep it simple, let it be boring, and that's the mantra to create.
Perfect, sir. Perfect, sir. It was great listening to you, Mr. Satish Prabhu, and we look forward to more such sessions in the future also. And do share your LinkedIn blog so that I will give it to my investors during the thing. And wishing you a great life. And thanks very much for being part of the show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and happy investing.